Hello, it is Tara Boothby, and I'm a registered psychologist in Alberta. I want to talk today about parenting. Now, it is the middle of summer when I'm shooting this, and during summer months, it can be pretty tricky to have patience and longevity and come up with ideas. We kind of burn ourselves out as parents. So a couple things that I'm thinking about. Number one, a simple tool with our kids is actually we can ask our kids for for a report card. So I like the idea of calling it a report card, but basically sometimes I sit down with my kids. They're 6 and 7 right now, almost 8 and almost 7. And I'll just ask them, like, how am I doing? How's mommy doing? How am I doing with angry? How am I doing with sharing? How am I doing with listening? How am I doing with these different things? Now, sometimes when we talk about asking for feedback from our kids, we can worry that we're putting pressure on them to hold the relationship. If we're open to asking for feedback from our children, it's pretty easy to notice whether they're trying to take care of our feelings or they're trying to make us feel better about ourselves. Sometimes I might say, you know what, don't give mommy a false A+ here. Like, how am I really doing? I got pretty angry last night. I wasn't happy with myself. So being sincere and honest and asking for feedback. And then another easy thing is just, as parents, it's really good that we use self-disclosure. When I get things wrong, I will oftentimes not be able to do this in the moment, but maybe hours later or the next day. Many times in the morning, I have had time, I've had my 2 hours off in the evening or whatever it is, things have percolated, and by morning time, I'm better able to talk to my kids and say, you know what, like last night, mommy got pretty angry, that's not cool, and this is how I see what happened. What do you think? How did you see things occur with us? Just talking about the event, figuring out a better strategy, especially when we're traveling. I find that our schedule has been really up in the air. It's not the traditional like rolling into school, getting into a rhythm, and we know bedtimes, beds, food routines, snack times, all those things. Everything's a little bit more unpredictable. When we're traveling, the kids are sleeping in a different bed. Bedtime blew up the first night that we're staying in this one place. So then I thought about it and I thought of a better strategy. How are we going to be able to make bedtime work? The next morning, I just consulted with my kids. Again, this is a language that we don't often use with parenting, but I'm an attachment-focused clinician and I try to use attachment-based parenting whenever possible. So that is a type of parenting that is not about me dictating. I'm not delegating and enforcing all these things. There's a place where I take charge, but the primary focus is following my child's need. So I'm trying to understand the ways that I got it wrong for me, because when I'm getting it wrong for me, I'm dysregulated. My central nervous system's dysregulated. My kids are having a harder time co-regulating off of me, or else they just can't, let's be honest. And then things are just gonna keep going sideways. So we wanna, like, again, we can ask for feedback, we can self-evaluate and backfill, we can consult and collaborate with our kids. Another great thing is to really be tuned into our own bodies. Now, I don't know about your summer, but sometimes my summers aren't that restful, actually. I just tend to go, go, go. Even when I'm on vacation, I like to do things. I like to keep busy. I like to think and read and write and consult with colleagues. I really enjoy those things. So I don't always sink into a place of restfulness. And for me, this is where it becomes even more important to tune in and be very immediate with my body, to notice how I'm feeling. Am I carrying tension? Am I carrying some sort of back pain or something like that? Emotionally, how am I doing? How depleted am I with my energy stores? So that could be just like physical energy, but also emotional energy. And oftentimes we'll talk about this as just putting the oxygen mask on ourselves. If things aren't going well in parenting, if it's just been one of those summers where the kids haven't figured out what to do, the friendship circles aren't working, the schedule has been off in all different directions, maybe there's some family difficulty, it's just not a great summer, or they're bored, right? Summertime's kind of boring. When I was a kid, you were supposed to be bored during summer. That was part of the benefit of summer. But in those times, it's really important to remember that if we always put the kids' needs first, then we're not necessarily taking care of us. And we need to take care of ourselves. We need to feel good on the inside so that we can manifest a positive way of being in our child's life. If I feel terrible inside, my kids are tuning in. This is attachment science. Since the womb, a child is learning to tune into their primary caregiver and their secondary caregiver. That's us parents, that's us caregivers. If we're dysregulated inside, whatever is occurring in our relationship with our children is just not going to go as well as it could. And oftentimes, the worse I'm feeling inside, the worse it goes with my kids. If I'm feeling dysregulated, bedtime could take an hour and a half. Whereas if I'm feeling regulated and I have my eye on the plan, how to ensure that they're feeling comfortable enough in their surroundings and in their routine, then bedtime sometimes can take 10 minutes. And that feels way better because I want them to go to bed so that I can take care of me. It's not selfish to give ourselves oxygen so that we can breathe and so that we can be here now and we can be present as parents. I also think too, it's really important that in summer times, it can be one of the hardest times to make sure that we are getting out and doing something on our own, going for a walk by ourselves or a date, or getting out and going for a massage, making sure we're getting our therapy in, coffees with friends, Prosecco with a friend, all these beautiful things, reading our book out on the deck. The children are always around us, and the busyness and the routine, creating these spontaneous daily routines, these weekly adventures or whatever it is that we're going to want to provide for our kids. Also, we need to have provision for ourselves. So there are short timeouts that we give ourselves. When I'm really dysregulated in the moment and I need to parent, sometimes I just need to walk away. Timeouts are for parents. Sometimes we might say, go to your room or whatever, and that's okay too. But always just know that actually when we are asking for those moments, it's because we're losing our footing. And so we need to take care of ourselves. A timeout is for us. It could be 10 minutes, could be a half an hour in those times of intense emotionality with our children. However, we need longer timeouts. Like there's a place to find someone else to offer care for our kids so that we can go off and just do grown-up things. Shop by ourselves, even if it's grocery shopping, go to the gym, go for a swim, but having some alone time to balance against having time in with our children. That's hard to navigate during the school year, and it's really hard to navigate during the summer. But if you haven't had any solid alone time, maybe you could think about some easy ways that you could do that. Sometimes it's as simple as putting on a movie for the children and locking the bathroom door, having a bath. If that's something that could work with your family and it's age appropriate for you and your children. If you have the real little ones, it's harder, but you might team up with somebody else. So big, there's some bees coming around me now. But you could team up with, bee, it's almost like a squirrel, only it could sting you. But you could team up with some other parents who have toddlers or small children and maybe share. So you say, why don't you take them this afternoon or this evening, and maybe you could go out for a dinner with a friend or your spouse. And then the next day or a few days later, you take their children for the afternoon or an early evening, and you get to go, or they get to go out. Also too, if you haven't scheduled play dates for your kids, especially if you get along great with the parents. So I have some lovely parents that I know who have lovely children, and our children get along. Sometimes it's just so nice to get together with another mom or another couple and play a sport, all of us, or get the kids off on an activity and we can have some type of coffee or sitting around together, have a few laughs. All of those things are important. If you're not enjoying your summer, your kids are not going to be able to enjoy their summer to the level that we want. And I'm talking about summer today, but this is true in all the seasons. This is good reminder when the months are cold and we're locked in our houses, and this is a good reminder when the school year is winding down and things just kind of go chaotic in May and June. All the times, just to remember, it's like we take care of ourselves, we have positive intention towards our kids, we're accessible, we're responsive, we're emotionally engaged whenever possible. And we want to also make sure that we are following our child's need whenever possible and whenever necessary, taking charge. All of that is coming from really wise, good, attachment-based parenting information, emotionally focused family therapy, and the circle of security. Beautiful, beautiful models and ways for us to learn how to be better parents. Now, if you need more help, there's Circle of Security parenting groups that you could look into. They have a great website, the Circle of Security International, and lots of times the parenting groups are on there. The other thing with just family therapy is emotionally focused family therapy. That's what I do. That's what I help train people to do or supervise people to do. I'm not a trainer. And they're great models and they work and they help us to feel better about being parents. These are not models of how-tos. So when I talk about parenting, I don't really have a strict how-to playbook, because the more I'm tuned into myself, the more I'm tuned into my children, the more I'm available emotionally, the more I trust my own good intention towards my kids, then the how-to just unfolds. And I see that with my clients as well. Parents will be like, you're not really telling us what to do. But when we get to the place where they're really accessible, responsive, and emotionally engaged, then parents are coming in and they're telling me what they're doing at home. And I'm like, ha, you see? It's really the core essence of finding our own footing and understanding our own inner self-regulation so that we can do better co-regulation. And when we get that, then the relationship with our kids is held in such a way that things just dynamically and correctively change. This is how we take the corrective epiphany, those magical moments of transformation, and build and scaffold that into our continued relationship with our children. All right, you guys, so I hope you're having some fun, and I hope that this is helpful for the moms and dads, the aunties, the uncles, the caregivers that are listening. And then I hope you have more fun for yourselves and for the kids that you're taking care of, because enjoying life is something to really make a priority. Okay, you guys, blessings, peace.